Good morning. My name is Milka Toledo, and I will be conducting the hearing this morning as hearing officer. We have one case scheduled for today. The project is located at 800 North Pacific Avenue. The agenda shows two cases for today. The variance that is scheduled will not be heard today. That is variance case number 1726875. The location is 2508 St. Andrews Drive. That case is taken off calendar, and it will be heard on February 19th, 2020. It will be renoticed and reposted. So at this time, we will move forward with the hearing for the parking reduction permit request, again located at 800 North Pacific Avenue. Case number is PPRP 1923119. And the request is for an application for a parking reduction permit to provide 7 parking spaces for a new 1,789 square foot retail building and a new 1,790 square foot self-service car wash. Whereas 10 parking spaces are required by code, 7 for the retail building and 3 for the car wash. The subject site is located in the C2 Community Commercial Zone, Height District 2, and it is described as portions of Lot 38 and Lot 45, Oliver's West Glendale Tract in the city of Glendale, California, County of Los Angeles. We will hear the case, and after the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses and have provided their name and mailing address. Under the appeal provisions of Title 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from Building and Safety Section, permit services located on the same floor of this building. So what I'd like to do now is we will have the case planner, Cassandra Pruitt, please go over the comments that were incorporated or part of this case, and then I will, from there you can go ahead and also go over your analysis in your staff report for the parking reduction permit. And also for the record, we did receive one letter from one of the neighbors, Philip Lawrence, and he has concerns regarding the parking in the area. So it is in the record for this case. So Cassandra, can you please go over the information?
Thank you, Ms. Toledo, and good morning.
Good morning.
The comments that were received from the Public Works Engineering and Glendale Water and Power Department consisted of the standard comments that are typical for all projects. And in addition, the Public Works Engineering Department provided comments regarding the location of the transformer and the screening around the transformer. And the Glendale Water and Power Department provided comments regarding any construction to take place near the utility pole that's located at the northeast corner of the property. So conditions of approval have been recommended in the staff report to address all of those comments.
Okay, great, thank you. Can you now go, and one more thing regarding traffic engineering, did they review the proposed project and provide any specific comments?
They typically look at that when they do their review. They didn't provide any specific comments about the traffic flow. They didn't receive an analysis and a diagram showing the traffic flow, so they may request further information during plan check and address it at that time.
Okay, great. Why, if you don't mind, can you please go into your analysis of the case, and then I will have the speakers come up, and the applicant can go over the project, and then the others in attendance as well.
Okay, so you already summarized the location of the project and what the request is. The existing site has a service center and 2 gas pumps on it. The service center will be demolished, and one of the gas pumps will be demolished. The gas pump that has 8 stations on it will remain, and then they will build the new retail store and the car wash. And they're asking for a 3-space, reduction from the parking requirement. So the required findings of fact for this application are that the parking requirement is greater than what will be needed by the land use, that sufficient parking will be provided, and that the intent of the parking regulations will be met. All of the findings of fact have been demonstrated within the staff report to be met. The main arguments being that, number 1, the parking regulations require 3 parking spaces for the car wash, but the car wash only needs 1 parking space. That's because there will only be 1 employee on site to attend to the car wash, and the car wash is completely self-service. So the car wash service is completed by the time the cars exit the car wash, and there is no need for them to park on site. Reason number 2 is that the site plan includes 8 gas pump vehicle stalls and 6 vacuum station vehicle stalls for a total of 14 additional vehicle stalls. All of the stalls comply with the minimum parking dimensions required for parking, and it has been shown that with these additional stalls, there is sufficient parking on site to accommodate the anticipated parking demand to be generated from the site. This data came from a parking study conducted at a similar site in Glendale. Therefore, the site will provide sufficient parking, which meets the intent of the parking regulations. Staff did receive public comments regarding this project. You mentioned the letter that was received. That letter was from a condo manager for a building on Burchett Street, about half a block away from the subject site. And the gentleman is expressing opposition to the proposal because there is insufficient street parking on Burchett. As I discussed in the written and this report, the project has shown that they will provide sufficient on-site parking and that they are not relying on street parking to meet their parking needs. Staff also received a call from the owner and manager of the office building located immediately adjacent to the subject site on the east side. That's the overguards here. That building is currently occupied by an escrow company, and the owner of the building expressed concern about the noise levels that will be generated from the car wash and vacuum station, so I just want to briefly talk about this. The written staff report reviews the noise issue and includes a noise map generated by the applicant showing the anticipated noise level will be within the maximum level allowed by the noise control chapter of the Glendale Municipal Code. The applicant has also designed the car wash in specific ways to mitigate noise impacts to the adjacent building. First, they oriented the flow of traffic through the car wash so that the air blower is away from the office building, since the air blower is the main noise generator of the car wash. Additionally, they have a nearly 9-foot wide and 10-foot high equipment building located at both openings of the car wash. The building extends for a distance of approximately 20 feet on either end. The building is located between the air blower and the adjacent property, which will act as an additional noise buffer. In terms of the vacuums, the applicant has provided noise information for the equipment showing that the noise levels are also within the standards set within the Glendale Municipal Code. As an additional measure, a condition of approval has been recommended in the staff report that requires the project to enforce sufficient measures to prevent disturbing noise to surrounding properties from the car wash or vacuum stations. For these reasons, staff feels the noise issue has been adequately addressed. So based on the information provided in the staff report and during this presentation, staff recommends approving the parking reduction permit application with the conditions of approval as stated in the staff report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pruitt. What I'd like to do at this time is have the applicant come forward. Is it 15 for the applicant? Okay. You have 15 minutes. You don't need to use the entire time. Are you Sean?
I'm actually Eric Lusky.
Okay.
I'm working for Jefferson Choi in Synarch Studio.
So Eric Lusky, can you provide your address for the record?
Yeah, the office address is 17200 Red Hill Avenue in Irvine, California.
And then subsequent speakers have 3 minutes, and then afterwards you have a rebuttal period,
Okay.
and then we'll continue moving along from there. So thank you, Mr. Lusky. Can you provide me an overview of your case and specifically the parking reduction permit? Yes, the case planner did summarize hers, but I'd like to hear from you now.
Yeah, absolutely. She did a really good job summarizing how we feel the site and the proposed project is meeting the potential parking demands. And we consider the worst case scenario being the rush hour periods in the morning and the late afternoon, and all that's factored in. We do need a minimum of vacuum stalls to make this all viable, which we felt we provided. And as well, we've made our case for enough standard parking stalls for whoever needs to use the site without having to use the gas pumps or the vacuum stalls. So having considered that, Glendale doesn't provide any credit for the vacuum pumps. Some cities do, some cities don't. So we are trying to negotiate that without bending or breaking the code. Having said that, is there anything you'd like to address as far as the parking? Because I felt Cassandra did a really good job.
I do have
explaining
several
that.
questions.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then they are in no particular order.
Okay.
So I did notice again, and Cassandra did touch on this, the noise study and the sound barriers that have been incorporated to deflect noise. Can you come to the board and kind of point to those, and how would that again mitigate the noise the noise around the area, specifically to the adjacent properties?
I have the exhibit of the noise map.
And just speak into the mic so we can capture everything you say.
I do have the exhibit of the noise map,
Okay.
which we put together based on information from noise engineers. We have several car wash projects in progress.
Can you explain it a little bit and how that works?
Absolutely.
Great.
So the main source of noise is the blowers, which are located at the north end of the tunnel. That main source of noise exits mostly out of the exit tunnel. It's about 95 decibels, which is not quiet at all, but it dissipates really quickly when it comes out of the exit tunnel. The exit tunnel is past the adjacent building already.
Past which adjacent building? The one to the east?
The Overguards building,
Okay.
correct. The east building. Now, when the noise exits, the exit tunnel is lower, or excuse me, the opening is lower than the building extension. So it's about 10 feet tall, and because the building extension is higher, it does act as a minor sound deflector. The Glendale noise ordinance actually graphically depicts that very well. When you have a hard surface, it does act as an effective noise deflector. Not necessarily an insulator or a barrier, but as a deflector. We also have a continuation of a 10-foot high wall past that building extension going all the way to the convenience store building. So it is a continuous minimum 10-foot high.
Okay, 10-foot high wall?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And what material?
It would be made of CMU.
Okay.
CMU block. Originally, that was 8 foot tall, and we were consulting with our noise engineers because it was a little bit lower than the opening of the exit. They considered that there may be some noise code violation into their parking lot area. So that's why we increased the height of that wall from 8 foot to 10 foot, which matches the exit opening to maximize the potential for noise deflection from that site.
And the case planner mentioned also some mechanical rooms that are there as well?
Correct.
Or will
so
be?
Those will be the building extensions
Okay.
on the north and the south of the building. One of them will house a vacuum processor, which is a 40 or 60 horsepower piece of equipment. Those can again generate some noise. It will likely be on the side where the blowers are, but at no point will that piece of machinery be louder than the blowers at any given time. And that will also be completely enclosed. So it's not like the blowers where it's next to an opening. That is actually completely enclosed. And you can see on the elevations, the bottom right sheet, if you look at the top elevation, you'll see that there are no openings towards the building to the east.
And then you still have the 10-foot wall proposed all along, right adjacent to that building?
Correct. In between the extension of the car wash building and the convenience store.
Okay.
So on the south side, there won't be anything beyond the building extension. That's for safety, and we can't build up to. We have a little bit of a setback there,
Got it.
but it's not necessary at that point.
Okay. Again, this is in no particular order. The report indicates the proposal to remove or demolish 2 gas pumps. Will there be any remediation requirements associated with that to clean up
Remediation as
the
far-
to clean up that area underneath where the pumps will be removed? Okay.
I can address that when I come up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll defer that to our owner, Sean.
Okay. Can you please confirm the hours of operation for the car wash?
7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
The gas station hours would be different, I'm assuming.
Again, I'll ask Sean.
Okay.
Is the gas station 24/7?
Okay. What about the convenience store? Should I wait? Okay. And I also did have a question regarding the use of the vacuums in
Okay.
terms of the operation of the vacuum. So let's assume that it's 9 o'clock.
Yes.
So the car wash is closed. Would the vacuums be available to be utilized by customers? Let's say someone patron comes in at 10 p.m. Could they?
That is
Come in and
that is
vacuum?
an operations question.
Okay.
I don't
So,
believe that's.
okay, perfect.
Okay.
Can you explain a little bit, since we're on the vacuum topic?
Sure.
Explain a little bit about how the noise for those vacuums would also be mitigated?
The vacuums are a little bit more unpredictable as far as noise. If I don't imagine any scenario where all 6 of them are being used at any given time, where everyone's doors are completely open and windows down, and everything else is quiet, to where that's the only noise. Again, at no point is it ever louder than the blowers.
Okay.
And the noise from the vacuums dissipates very quickly. If you think of holding a vacuum, it's the loudest when it's not on something, and as soon as you put it, let's say, on your couch, noise almost goes away. So that's why the variable of the noise of the vacuum is a little bit hard to predict. But in a lot of these similar car wash sites, you have a 5-minute maximum sign on the vacuums. Not everybody who uses the car wash uses the vacuums, and we will have an on-site employee, as Sean mentioned, directing a little bit of traffic if needed, just checking up on the car wash, making sure everything's good, and then if needed, enforcing people to mitigate their time at the vacuums. So
That was
sign-
actually one of my other questions regarding the attendant. So there will be an attendant
Yes.
only during the operating hours or exclusively for the use of the car wash?
That'll be an operations question,
Okay.
but as far as
I'll
I understand
wait.
it, there will always be one person on site in charge of the car wash
Okay.
operation.
Are you proposing any canopies at the gas islands that are new? Are you replacing any of the existing canopies? Okay. I'm going to then hold off on my other operating question. Okay, so I don't have any more questions for you at this time, unless you have anything else you would like to add?
We were talking about this before we met here at the city, and I live about a 5-minute walk away from what used to be just a normal drive-through car wash, where full-service car wash. And this is South Orange County, very suburban, where they're not necessarily at the forefront of these things. and they just gated everything off, and they're turning this into an express wash, and I'm excited about it too. It's going to take a $21 hand wash to a $6 drive-through. Me and my wife have a baby now, so we don't have time
Right.
too much. So we were excited about that project coming in our neighborhood, and I can imagine that a lot of Sean's customers would be excited about something like this popping up on their site, which can be a pretty busy street. And we're going from not necessarily the most modern building to something that's really nice and complimentary of specifically that intersection. So I feel that Sean should be excited about it, and his clients should really be excited about it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for your time.
Sure. Thank you. I'll ask the owner, Sean Lewis, to come forward. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Sean Louie. I'm the current owner of the property located at 800 North Pacific Avenue. I've been an owner since November of 1989. I've been operating the site for 31 years, and I've been a proud business owner in the city of Glendale. First, I would like to thank Cassandra for doing a great job working with us on this project for the last almost 2 years. We've been working on this project. It's been a lot of back and forth regarding the design and preparing this project to where it is right now. I understand the purpose of this hearing is for the parking reduction, and that's what we're here for. And I will elaborate on that, answer your questions, and also there were some issues that we were notified by. Just met our neighbor for the first time. The overguards, they came in. I spoke with him last night, and I would like to address any concerns that they may have to address any issues.
Well, I'm going to be asking you a few
Sure,
questions.
let's go ahead, let's just start.
And the first one was, and you heard the question about the operating hours of the car wash and the gas station itself. Would they be different hours?
Correct. So the gas station for the last 31 years has been operating on a 24/7 operation. That's been the how we've been operating the site, and we intend to continue the same.
What about the retail store?
Yes, the retail store also is 24/7, which we provide a convenience for our customers, for our neighborhood, for the community to be able to come in and walk in and purchase milk, cigarettes, chips, whatever they need to do.
So the car wash, my understanding, it operates from, or will be operating from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
That is correct.
Monday, all week, 7 days a week?
That is my understanding, yes. I think that is what we have proposed,
Okay.
unless it's different on the application, but I think that's what it is.
In
Ms.
the
Pruitt?
drawings that were submitted, you were discussing the hours for which operation?
For the car wash.
It says car wash Monday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was correct.
So what about the vacuums? I gave a little scenario. Can
Right,
you
right.
elaborate on that?
Absolutely. So the vacuum hours are going to be the same hours as the car wash.
Okay.
So past 9 p.m., the vacuum is going to be shut down automatically through a system. It's done automatically, and no one going to be able to use the vacuum from 9 p.m. until 7 a.m.
And again, the vacuums as well.
Correct.
The plans show a pay station or a little kiosk as you approach the car wash. Is this the only way to operate the car wash, or is there another way of operating it? Let's say someone has to get out of their car, go inside the retail store, or speak to an attendant, or what are the options?
Okay, so let me elaborate on the concept first. This is a concept that is called Millennium Car Wash concept. It's a new concept that is taking over Southern California. I assume, the next 3 to 4 years, you're going to see all the hand wash car wash is going to be closed down due to the labor cost, due to the time that it takes for a car to get washed. I remember years ago, I used to go to a car wash, had to sit down for half an hour to 45 minutes to get my car washed. People these days don't have the time, and they don't want to spend $20 to $25 for a car wash. So the concept of express car wash is a concept that you as a consumer will drive through the process automatically. At the kiosks, you can use your credit card. At the gasoline pumps, when you purchase the gas, it will give you the option, would you like to buy the car wash at the same time? what could be done on the same transaction on the credit card. Once you obtain that, you go through the process, you put the code, you enter the tunnel, you come out within a few minutes, and then you have the option of vacuuming your car or not. However, many customers these days do not even go through the vacuum process, they just drive out. So the concept is to move the cars really fast through the process. Our estimation is that it might take only about 3 to 4 minutes to go through the whole process.
So at no time the customer needs to park.
Exit. No, they do not.
And I'm only explaining this because of experience. Park and go inside the store, the retail store, pay, and then enter the car wash. It does not operate that way at all.
No, it does not operate that way. The pay is done at the site when they enter.
Either the pump
Like
or
a-
at the kiosk.
Correct. Like there's like an ATM sort of a concept. You pay, you enter the tunnel, or you can pay at the pump while you purchase the gas.
Thank you for
Sure.
clarifying that.
Sure.
We had a question earlier about any of the canopies that are
Sure.
currently there. Will they be removed and replaced?
So,
Just a general question.
sure, absolutely. So, as I mentioned, I've been operating for the last 31 years in a gas station car wash business. I own multiple sites in Southern California of gas stations, and I do have operational car wash in Los Angeles, in downtown Los Angeles. So, the concept that I just told you is what we're trying to do. We're trying to create an experience that meets the demand today. When we came up with this design, when you look at the site, this site I think was built back in about 80 years ago, the original site. We looked at across the street at the Rite Aid. There's a picture of it behind you. And we said, look, City of Glendale approved that site, the design, so we're going to duplicate that. So the design what we came up with is something a modern look, contemporary modern look. So we look at the Rite Aid across the street that was built 2 years ago, and we pretty much duplicate that to our across the street here. So when we designed the building, we looked at the canopies of the fueling stations, and they looked really old shingles with the rocks on top of them. So we said, you know what, we got to get rid of this. This doesn't go with the design. So yes, we are going to be removing that.
And that'll be under a separate permit, and you'll go
Correct,
work with your
absolutely.
case planner on that.
You can see the design right behind you. It's the one on the bottom left. You see that?
Yes, I
It's
do.
going to be a flat,
Yes.
sort of modern look canopy. And you also mentioned about the gasoline pumps
intent.
removed. Would you like me to answer that question?
Oh, yes, thank you.
So you mentioned 2 gasoline pumps going to be removed. That is actually, we're only going to be removing 1.
Okay.
The canopy, the gasoline pump on the south part of the building going to be removed, that existing canopy, and there's only 1 gasoline pumps on that. They're going to be removed. All the environmental issues going to
Yes.
be addressed.
Okay.
They're all going to be capped, and we're going to be
Okay.
actually replacing all of our other 4 gasoline pumps with all brand new gasoline pumps.
So you'll be taking,
Absolutely, we have to.
Yes.
I mean, we're going to have AQMD that's going to be, we need to go through permitting through that process.
question, is this the best location for the car wash? Did you explore any other location?
We looked
And
at
how did you end
right.
up here?
So we looked at all different locations that car wash could be placed, and there was no other place to place it to properly provide flow of traffic.
So it's more of a circulation?
Circulation properly.
Okay.
Because remember, every design has to flow. The flow is the most important thing because you don't want to back up cars on the street, on
Right.
Pacific or Bouchette, creating traffic or safety issues. So this was the best design to create that design for us.
If I can add to that too.
Just a sec, I'll call you up if, after that. And currently, you do have parking on the north
Correct.
side?
Correct.
So those parking spaces will remain?
Majority of them are going to be remained, correct, on the north, east, west side. If you want me, I'd be glad to
Yes,
walk.
why don't you walk us through?
Yeah, can I walk through that?
The
Sure.
parking area? And based on your experience, explain to us the parking demand.
Sure.
Although, again,
Right.
Cassandra did speak about it, but I'd like for you, based on your experience, to
Sure.
explain it as well.
So, I'm sure you go to the gas station and buy gas. Many times, if you want to get a bottle of water, once you pump your gas, you lock your car, you go inside, buy a bottle of water. How many times have you parked gas, pumped the gas and park in a parking lot and then go to that mart? Not many people do that. I've never seen this on. So currently we have 4 pumps that gonna stay here. Each pump has 1 side on each side. So there's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. There's 8 spaces that when the customers pump their gas, they can walk into the store and purchase a bottle of water, come back to their car, and they leave the station. Then we have the 6.
So I'm gonna stop you right there. In that
Sure.
scenario, you're saying they're at the station, they
Already pumped the gas,
pump the gas, they stay there, and then they walk to the store,
buy a pack of
purchase.
cigarettes or bottle of water. And I'm sure you do the same thing. I don't think you would pump the gas, you go park here, go buy a bottle of water, go back here and leave the station. 95% of the customers who want to buy something, after they pump the gas, they block the car, they go in, they buy something and come back. Or people who pay inside with cash, they make the purchases at the same time, then they leave. So these 8 spaces always used for the purchase and use of the customers. Beside this, we already have provided many parkings here, including the handicap, for the use of the customers. In addition to this, we're providing 6 parking spaces here that customers can, many times they walk in, they park the car, they can go into the mart and make their purchases. However, these are also used for vacuum reasons, which also could be used for the parking that we got it required. So we definitely have provided more than enough, in my opinion, doing this for 31 years, parking space for what we need, what we're proposing in
For
this
the
space.
car wash component, do you foresee there being a significant parking demand? Or how many spaces do you think generally would be occupied just for that
Correct.
operation?
So for this operation, we have provided 6 parking, which I think is more than enough for the customers who decide to vacuum their car after they exit the tunnel. We really don't need to provide any parking for the car wash unless they want to come in and do the vacuum. This is, again, a concept that is not done in Glendale. This is the first one that is being presented. So it's a new concept, and it's the fear of unknown that we all have as a human. I'm sure Vanguard's also here, they have the fear of something unknown that they think maybe the noise is going to be an issue. But we have really mitigated all of this, and I'd like to elaborate on that if you have no further question.
Not about the parking. Did you want to add something regarding the noise? Or at this point, why don't we wait?
Yeah, because this is about the parking.
Yes.
Right, okay, sure.
Okay, well, thank you for your
Sure,
help. If I
absolutely.
have any other questions, I will have you come up. Mr. Lusky, did you want to add something that wasn't mentioned earlier, briefly?
I just wanted to elaborate on your question about exploring the site. Was this the best location?
Okay.
And it certainly was the best location to avoid queuing, any potential queuing issues out into the main streets, Bridgehead, and specifically Pacific. And also the car wash building itself needs to have a certain amount of length for the tunnel, for everything, the water, the soap, the rinse, and the blowers, for it to all work in a certain length. What that length is about 55 feet, and what we have is 55 feet. We also need a certain amount of interior square footage for the rest of the equipments, the soaps, the tanks, the vacuum processor.
But you also mentioned you have an attendant who
Correct.
will be helping with the flow and the queuing, and in case there's
Sure.
any operational issues related to the, let's say, I don't know, something regarding, let's say, the kiosk or something doesn't work properly, the
Absolutely.
attendant will be there to assist.
Absolutely, somebody
And-
will be there to keep eye on specifically the traffic flow, because that's, we don't want to create any traffic hazards. That's a priority.
Right.
So that's important to have somebody on site because machines aren't fail-proof.
Will they be there, or is their operation limited to the hours of operation of the car wash, or are they there the entire time,
7 to 9. The second
7
one.
to 9?
Yeah.
So that's kind of their main
Yes.
duty, is to regulate the car wash and
Absolutely.
flow. Okay,
Yeah,
well, thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chris Overgaard, please come up and state your name and address for the record.
Good morning. My name is Chris
Morning.
Overgaard. My address is 1281 Journeys End Drive in La Cañada. So my brother and I are the trustees of the trust that own the adjacent building at 447 West Burchett, and it's leased to Inter Valley Escrow for about 9 or 10 years. They have approximately 19 employees, and I received notice of this proposed project approximately 10 days ago. I understand it's been in the works for 2 years, but I was unaware of it, and our tenants were unaware of it. I received notice, my tenant did too. They contacted me and were very concerned about the noise issue. We're concerned about that too. The one thing we just discussed this morning, I just want to bring it up, I was unaware of it. There's a proposal to apparently knock down the wall that divides the property. My understanding is that that wall is on our property. It encircles the property, Inter Valley Escrow on 3 sides. So, I mean, that's an issue. I know they're planning on building a wall, but I don't know how, if that's our wall, it would have to be built to the west of it if they're going to build another wall. It seems like that. And maybe, again, a survey would be proper. We just discussed that this morning, but that is an issue we're concerned about. As far as the noise goes, the vacuum motor is at a place that's probably 15 feet from our office building, the windows in our office building. And I just think that's a very inappropriate place. The motor is what's loud, is to have it so close. And I talked to an auditory engineer. He indicated the same thing. That's a very poor placement. And he thought that the sound study was not accurate as far as how the sound would be spread out. And looking at the sound study, it does show that there's 80 decibels at one point, and then 75, and then 70. He said he didn't think that was accurate, and it doesn't show what the decibels would be at our building, which he thinks would be higher than that. And I did talk to Mr. Louie last night about getting a copy of the sound study, and he said he would email it to me, but I didn't receive it. I asked for it this morning, and he didn't have it with him. So I don't have the sound study, and I understand that the Glendale Code at 8.36140 says approval of, that you may require the approval of a sound study. But again, I've just learned of this project. I haven't seen the sound study. I haven't had a chance to let my acoustical engineer look at it. It just seems unfair that we haven't had a chance to see it or to analyze it. And he said he thought, on the face of it, this didn't appear accurate. He also thought it wasn't accurate what the decibel level would be where the blowers are. And it does show on the sound study map that's submitted a maximum decibel into our property of 70 decibels, which exceeds my understanding is that exceeds the limit of the code, which should be 65 decibels. The concern really is the noise. We have a concern about the noise and what it's going to be, and we'd like a chance to look at it and assess it and address the wall issue and determine if it's appropriate. The car washes that I see, I don't see a car wash 10 feet from an occupied office building. And that's a great concern to our tenants. They're very good tenants. They've been there for a long time. And so I'm expressing their concerns and what our concerns are too, going forward.
Do you have any issues with the request for the parking reduction on the 3-space shortfall?
No, I really don't. I mean, I think it would be nice to have all the spaces, but I mean, I don't really have an issue on that. The parking is bad around there, but I don't really have an issue.
Okay. Do you have anything else you would like to add?
Well, just that before this is approved, that we have a chance to see the sound study and to address that wall issue, because we need to determine if that wall is on our property or their property. What's gonna happen.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Overgaard. Will the applicant or the owner come forward and please rebuttal and speak on some of the comments or concerns that were raised by the neighbor, please?
Yeah, as far as the wall is concerned, if we can start from there, what Cassandra's been pushing since the beginning, and what I think every city pushes, is that every new project that goes up needs to be an improvement on what's there before. So whatever we do to that wall, we want it to be an improvement to what's existing. Now, it would take a study, a topo study and a survey.
So
to
you will need
determine-
to work that out regarding the location of
absolutely.
that wall.
Absolutely. We don't want to step on anybody's toes. Property lines can be very give or take when it comes to the inches, and we want to get it right, and we want to do right by our neighbor as far as the materials there and what they're going to see every single day and what neighbors them. So I think that will absolutely be addressed through a study, if needed, just to determine what's exactly where. Do we need to build behind the wall? Are we okay to take down that wall in favor of this building? We'll do everything within code and within our neighbor's reason to make this project happen appropriately and to improve what's existing.
You want to show the picture of show demonstrate the landscape?
1 second, I have a few more
Okay.
things I'd like you to
And if I
touch
could,
on.
Okay.
The vacuum motor location, can you address Mr. Overgaard's concern
Absolutely.
regarding
And
that?
I apologize that we didn't address that earlier. On that sound diagram, we have it on the south side of the tunnel. That would absolutely need to be moved up to the north side, which is at above the back end of their building, so it is farther away.
Can you come to the board
Yes.
and identify that? And
In that diagram we have, at the time, this building was longer up here and the same down here. So we put the vacuum processor down here, which is closer to their building and more their tenants. Since then, we definitely plan to move it as far north as possible to get it as far away from their building. And actually, the closer it is with the blowers, the better overall it is for the mitigation of the sound to have one core, one centralized loud point of noise, is what I understood from our acoustical engineers. And these acoustical engineers, they worked on us on a 200-foot tunnel in Orange. They're working with us on a 150-foot tunnel in Covina, as well as an existing car wash in Torrance.
do you have the report so that the neighbor could review it as
Sure,
well?
we weren't asked for a formal noise study to this point. So what I have is information and a sound diagram showing the decibel levels on site that will comply with the city code. And this is based on previous noise studies, thorough noise studies, as well as site-specific information that we've given to our acoustical engineers. But at this point, we haven't been asked for a formal noise study.
Okay.
Want to show the design of the wall too, like that?
Oh, we got to have just one person who's here. Please come to the microphone. If there's something you would like to add, I'll give you the opportunity to speak, just like Mr. Overgaard, if you would like to add one more item. Is there anything else that you can address regarding the concerns that Mr. Overgaard brought to our attention?
Sure, well, this is the first of its kind in Glendale, specifically this Auto Express car wash with the vacuums. However, these are springing up everywhere from Torrance to South Orange County. And to his point, I have seen them next to many office buildings, which is the nature of the zoning in certain cities. And we are zoned appropriately for this type of car wash. And unfortunately, it happens to be next to an office building. Well, I don't know if that's unfortunate or not. I'm sure they all have vehicles that they take every day. It could be a benefit to them. And what's existing right now is a mechanic shop in nearly that same location. And mechanic shops aren't really known for being the most quiet operations ever, too. And I believe that there's 2 bays right now. And I'm not sure if that noise specifically has ever been an issue for the neighbors, too.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Louis,
Yes.
briefly, can you add something that?
Sure. Just
wanna
to address
elaborate?
Mr. Vanguard's concern regarding the wall, I'd like to address The wall, the way we designed, can I walk in there to show
Sure.
the?
Let's give him 2 minutes.
This is the wall that's going to be facing your property. We definitely going to go by what is the right thing to do. Build this inside our property, would not go over your property. And we went through a lot of back and forth design with Cassandra and the design review to make this adequately cosmetically very
Can you direct your attention to me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Very presentable. I'm sorry for that. Very presentable, placing landscaping, using the material that is not just a cement wall back of the building. No one can really see this. The only people can see this is the tenants of the Mr. Vanguard's tenants in the building as they drive through the driveway. There's a driveway here they drew. Now, and then we increase the height to mitigate the noise as much as possible. We are in a zone that let us have this. We're by the code. We're not next to a residential area. And we are doing everything that we can do. And as Eric mentioned, there is a mechanic shop right here right now that makes a lot of noise. And for the last 31 years, I never had any tenants in the building ever complain about any noise coming out of the mechanic shop. So again, it's not something that we're creating, something that is brand new. And that's all I want to mention.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Overgaard, did you want to add one more
Yes.
thing?
Yes.
Briefly.
I appreciate the fact that we're able to see that, how it's going to look, and I think it looks pretty good. But I think we need to address the wall issue and what we're going to do with it. Should it be taken down? Should it not be taken down? Where is that going to be located and how that's going to work? I'm just not sure how that's going to be. I certainly appreciate the fact we have on the record that the motor for the vacuum is going to be on the north side of the property, not on the south side of the property. I was a tenant in that property for 7 years back in the 1990s. So there was the mechanic shop in the back, but it faces the north side, and it's not that loud. I mean, in my experience, it wasn't. There was some noise emanating, but it's nothing like having a car wash, 15 feet from the building. So those are my concerns.
Well, they will be required to comply with the noise ordinance.
Right. I'd like to see a noise study. I'd like to see what they have before it's approved, and I would like to.
So after the hearing, you can, or whenever it's convenient, you can work with the case planner regarding any information that she has on file that was submitted by the applicant and review the case file, and also work with the property owner as well for any additional information.
Right. That seems appropriate. Again, I've just been involved for a few days, so I'm trying to get up to speed on what's happening and trying to protect our tenants and the property.
Sure.
So, right. Okay. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in favor or in opposition? Seeing none, I will take this case under submission. And once again, after this hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses, and have provided their name and mailing addresses. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. And again, I'm taking this case under submission, and appeals under the appeal provisions of Title 30, 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code. The decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from Building and Safety Section Permit Services Center located on the same floor of this building. This hearing is now officially closed. It's 10:26 on Wednesday, the 29th of January, 2020. Thank you for coming.